live this morning. I was listening about never giving up. So I was like, I've got to be firm here this morning. So I didn't want to give up, and I forgot to hit the button. But we are now live right here on Facebook Live at WCRS Radio. And you can also listen to us on the radio, 98.5 FM, 1450 AM. And you can even listen to us streaming at WCRS 1450am.net. So here's what I have to say. Good morning, Greenwood. It was a very short night for me last night. I mean, a lot of people last night were at the meeting, the council meeting. It was, God, I think it was 5 hours. It seemed to go on forever. But anyways, lots of things to talk about on that. That will be coming up in just a minute. Did want to give you the weather. Was out there early with Penny this morning. Of course, Penny had to go out early this morning. So anyways, we will discuss that later. But let's go ahead and just get a little quick weather report out there. It was beautiful. It is beautiful. Right now it is 64 degrees. Feels like 64. We are headed for a high of only 79 degrees today. We're going to have sunny skies, a little less humid, and so that's good for during the day. At night, it's going to drop down to about 54. Thursday comes in with a high of 85 and a low of 58. No chance of rain. That's great because the beach blast and all the festival activities, we'll be talking about that in the show also here this morning. Friday comes in with a high of 88, low of 62. No chance of rain. Saturday, high of 88, low of 65. Really a ditto day. And Sunday is a ditto day too. So as we get ready for the really big weekend for Festival of Flowers. It's going to be a good one, folks. You're going to want to get out and participate in all of those activities. But now, let's talk about the issue at hand. 5 hours of county council. Yes, it's true. I did it. So if you weren't there last night and you didn't have to do it, if you're wondering how it turned out, what was the flavor of the evening, I have some clips here that I think will help you get the flavor of the evening. But just to keep you updated in case you'll have to step away here and not be able to hear it all at once, you can always go back and listen or watch on our Facebook page, WCRS Radio, and you can also, maybe by tomorrow we'll have it up on our website, WCRS1450am.net, and there it stays forever and ever and ever. Okay, so last night what happened at County Council? Well, the data center ordinance passed on second reading. Now, there is a third reading coming up, so before they can actually pass it, but it did pass with a 5-2 vote. There was no moratorium adopted. In fact, there was, although people who spoke mentioned the moratorium, in the language for the ordinance, there was nothing about a moratorium. So they have one more reading remains before this passes into being a law or an ordinance. So this morning, I want you to hear some of the most important moments from the meeting, and then we'll talk about what it means moving forward. This first clip that I'm going to play is one of the questions that kept coming up throughout this evening was, if the Planning Commission recommended a 2-year moratorium, why wasn't council considering that recommendation? And I think that over and over this point played out. I picked out one clip to play for you here this morning Tina Escalano is the person. She actually spoke right near the end of it. So it's interesting that this actually sets the table for the whole rest of the conversation. So let's listen to Tina right now. Take it away.
Tina, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Tina Escalona. I live on Johns Creek Road in Hodges, South Carolina. I had not planned to speak tonight, but I feel compelled to speak for a couple of different reasons. Please realize that any of my comments are not personal. These are some observations. First of all, whenever one primary concern is that when we all presented or attended the county planning meeting and you had a recommendation not to approve language that was felt to be hastily put together, they recommended to you guys 10-0 to consider a moratorium. The fact that you did not address the language, you did not consider anything that was given or fed up to you from the Planning Commission is very concerning to us. Why do we have a Planning Commission if they make recommendations and yet we're here with the same amendment, the same language? And without you hearing that input from them that this moratorium was requested, this is what we heard from the public, this is what the public expects, and we want you to investigate that. Secondly, again, this is not a condemnation of you guys, but the fact that you have not been able to manage, you don't have the systems and processes to manage the damage that is done through bad development. If you make mistakes here, the repercussions are to the extent that you will not be able to understand or be able to backtrack from those. We have smaller issues with other developments, and you're looking at a data center where we honestly do not feel that you've done the due diligence. Tonight you've made a lot of presentations, a lot of great information from people that are in a bubble. You've not compared case studies, you've not compared externally, you've not convinced us that you know enough about this to do this well. We're not saying that you can't do that well in the future, but we need a 2-year moratorium to make sure that the right people are informed, are involved, and that all of the information is transparent. We want this to be done correctly if it has to be done. We don't want to rush through. Lastly, you guys were able to rush through an amendment that was hastily thrown together. We would also like for you to rush through for us the moratorium that we consistently are asking for to keep us safe, to keep us prepared. Tonight it felt, excuse me, it felt very much like a data center sales pitch, that you were coming to us with this information, this decision already made, as opposed to a forum where you hear the citizens. We expressed ourselves at the Planning Commission meeting. We are expressing ourselves tonight, and we don't expect just our voices to reverb off of the wall. We expect you to hear us, and we expect you to take appropriate action. That is part of what the representative government is for us. This is probably one of the most important decisions that you all individually are going to make during your tenure with Greenwood County, and we need to do this correctly. And you've heard our representative McCready explain the complexities of it at the state level and across the nation. This is not something simple. This is something that we don't believe you have figured out, and it's not saying that you're unintelligent. It's just saying that you don't have enough information and we need to get this right. So please consider the moratorium. You fast-track the amendment, fast-track the moratorium for us. Do what the citizens are asking you to do, please.
Thank you, Tina.
So Penny is snoozing through this whole thing here this morning, but this is something that I think was a very impactful statement. She's talking about how county council doesn't even seem to have taken into account, and pointing out that you have one opportunity really to get this right. So Tina, of course, has been on the forefront of some of the other discussions that have been happening in our community about zoning, rezoning, etc., and I thought she spoke it very, very well. The evening continued on with first up, the county got to put their side of this. And I agree. It did sound like a selling data centers to the folks. They had speakers from all different places, everything from the hospital to the superintendents of school to Duke Energy speakers, CPW, Greenwood Metro, and then they threw a few others in there just for good measure. But all of them talked about in glowing results, which was probably most brought forward when Treasurer Stephanie Dorn came forward and started talking about the dollars that would be gained from this. But we still haven't addressed the fact, are we ready for data centers? So in the next part, finally, the people got to speak, and many of them spoke about the noise issue. They talked about the power. They talked about a lot of different issues. One of the points that kept coming up over and over was it sounded like a sales pitch for data centers. And I got to admit, as I listened to it, that's what I had written down on a piece of paper. So I felt like I was at a condo promotion where they were trying to get me to sign up to lease or sign on to those condo deals. But anyways, on this second clip, the next exchange is going to give you a feel for the atmosphere in the room and some of the concerns being raised. So I want to play this for you. This does have a person, Sean Duffy, spoke, as well as Representative John McCravey. And there is a comment from Chairman Theo Lane also. So without further ado, let's play the second clip and see if I can get you to feel what a lot of people were feeling last night when they were at this meeting. So let's see, where is it? Yes, right here. Take it away.
We got to raise all this money, it's going to be great. But I would ask the people here, do you think this was, I felt like I walked into a sales pitch for big data, was paying for everyone to speak here. Now, does people here think that this was a
Mr. Duffy, let me stop you right now. You address me in this council,
Okay,
you don't address the crowd.
Okay.
So we're not going to have a bunch of theatrics. You address the council, please.
Okay, I believe that this was a very one-sided meeting, that every PowerPoint was, this is wonderful, we're going to raise all this money. Well, if you look in Spartanburg, which is a much bigger city, they have a data center that's in all kind of trouble. They're using $500,000 gallons of water per day. There's no guarantee that that will not happen here. I live on Lake Greenwood, very proud to live on Lake Greenwood, but I can hear a flea fart across the lake. I can hear cars from 7 miles away on chapels. If anything is built near Lake Greenwood, that sound is going to reverberate across the entire lake. We just had a fish kill that no one could ever explain. We don't want the same issues with dirty water going into the lake, using up our valuable resources. Everything here I thought was very one-sided, and the amendment does not go far enough. It needs to be much clearer. If there is going to be a data center, they have to meet all the rules and regulations. And I think people here feel like this was too much of a sales pitch for data and not enough for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the council, chairman. What I had to say is about 7 minutes. So I don't know if I can get those parameters or not. I do have some information about the state laws that I wanted to mention in addition to talking about the actual ordinance. So I respectfully ask for 7 minutes, but if I can't get it, I will.
Out of respect for your position, Representative, 7 minutes.
Thank you, sir. First of all, and I do want to thank you for your service. I feel like all of you are people I can call. I think you can call me, and I think we have a good relationship for the benefit of Greenwood. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate those relationships that you have developed with me. And I certainly support economic development in every way. I've always been for the Commerce Department and everything else, and increasing the school districts and all that. Tonight, I'm just speaking here not only as a state representative, but as a resident for 60 years and 4 generations of my family here. Let me say, first of all, I'm not against data centers. I'm for data centers. We need our data centers for national security. President Trump, his White House has been on the Zoom with us in the State House and explained how important it is. We're competing with China, we're competing with our AI, and that's a large part of why we need these data centers. But I just want to say that the same issues that we're hearing here tonight are being debated on the state level. So we've got a bill in the Senate that's way more restrictive than this ordinance is, and it's about 8 pages long. And it's got a lot of restrictions, but the first thing it says is we want to encourage data centers in places like the Savannah Riverside. We want them to be in brownfield areas where we already have environmental issues, so there's no question. Savannah Riverside's been identified by the federal government as a great place for data centers, and they're planning on leasing 300-something square miles in South Carolina for data centers. So that place is almost as big as Greenwood County, the whole county. So there's plenty of places for them there, and that's where the Senate is headed. The House of Representatives has a different bill, and it's a moratorium for 2 years on data centers because they want to be able to understand the impacts that are really happening out there. And I know that the big power people will have input into that. I know that everybody will. And there's a lot of proposals. So you're struggling with the same things that we are in our state. And really the issue before us tonight is whether data centers are appropriate in a county like Greenwood County. And so, we're already having problems in our state with electricity, with having enough power. We had to pass an energy bill to enable utilities to do more and give us more power because we're running out of power in South Carolina. Duke Powers told us that. The guy here tonight, I'm sure he can tell you that we've got to facilitate more energy. So they're already having a problem keeping up with the demand. So, this is an issue. And, I would just say that across the state, the nation, everywhere, they are putting moratoriums on these data centers. Now, the problem is they need to go in the right place. And so I think there are solutions for that in our state. And it may not involve Greenwood County. And even if we were okay with the data centers that we've talked about tonight, the thing, this ordinance is what I would call a little bit loose. I'm in the legal field, so I can read it and I understand it. I've compared it with other ordinances around the nation. And it places, although we've talked about meaningful limits on water consumption, it doesn't really address that. Although we've talked about limits on electrical demand, the ordinance itself doesn't address that. The ordinance doesn't have any cap on the size of the facility. So even though we talked about small and medium tonight, the ordinance doesn't do that. The ordinance permits data centers in rural development districts, which is, that's a very rare thing. I couldn't find an ordinance anywhere that did that. They're all in heavy industrial. And, the ordinance doesn't address some of the noise concerns. Most of the ordinances I've seen have 1,000-foot setback, not just 200. So these aren't just minor details. I think they're very important, and it's worth studying. And I would just say that our comprehensive plan, the Greenwood County Comprehensive Plan, does say we're promoting energy conservation. I don't see how this is consistent with this. We're preserving open space. We're supposed to be protecting the character of our community. And these are the kind of questions. These are the kind of questions that I think should be answered during a moratorium study period, not after permits have been issued. Once we have an application, then it's too late to do a moratorium because then there are legal issues. So I do applaud the council for being proactive on this. I think it's very important to be proactive. But I would be proactive, and I would recommend that we study these issues and we take the time to do it. And I would agree with the planning commission or the planning department, their recommendation of a 2-year moratorium. I did draft, for your convenience, you can throw it away if you want to, but I drafted a 2-year moratorium ordinance that would be legally sound. And I think, I went to a lot of pains to do that, just in case you needed the language. And I'll be glad to hand that up, and that's all I would say.
Thank you, Representative. Susan, you got that,
Well, That was I think whether you agree with Representative McCravy or Mr. Sean Duffy or Chairman Lane or anyone else that I'm playing here this morning, I think this clip captures the tension that existed throughout the whole evening. So there was a lot of back and forth. There were a lot of people. We the people had to listen to a lot of people giving information that basically were the side for the data center ordinance. And finally, they got to listening to the other side. So this is kind of a combination of that. But I think the questions that you as a listener might want to be thinking about, is Penny is bored. Should there have been a moratorium? Should they have brought that proposal forth from the Planning Commission? Is Greenwood moving too fast on the data centers? Is Greenwood moving too slowly on the data centers? What protections should be in place? And I think that is the crux of this whole discussion if you boil it down into something that is digestible. There you go. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to do a little recap, and then I do want to play for you the actual discussion that council had before they voted. And that will include, I believe, Kathy Miller's comments that she made and Mark Allison comments that he made. So you stay tuned here just 1 minute. We'll be right back because this is WCRS and we are having a morning roundup on County Council from last night. Woo! I'm going to need a break after this, folks. There you go. Take it away. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm John McCravy. I've stood for our Christian conservative values, pushed back against the wasteful spending in Columbia, and fought for local issues that impact our community. In the process, I've offended some politicians in Columbia. Guess what? I really don't care. Whether it's protecting Lake Greenwood or simply being available when you need help, I've always believed in being responsive to the people I serve. If you need me, you can call me directly at 864-396-3110. I'm John McCravy. I paid for this message.
The Road to the Revolution in the Upstate. Opening reception Thursday, June 4th, 5 p.m. at the Greenwood Museum. Sponsored by the museum and Greenwood County 250 Coalition. Featuring an upcoming lecture series on who were the patriots, who were the loyalists, who held Star Fort, and how did people live in the backcountry. Remember, the Greenwood Museum, dedicated to sharing, saving, and celebrating Greenwood's history. See you Thursday, June 4th, 5 p.m.
Hi, this is Brantley with Greenwood Chick-fil-A. Nominate your office, teachers, church group, or team for breakfast for a bunch with WCRS. We love surprising and delighting our Greenwood community. Call or text 864-332-9355. It would be our pleasure. Call or text 864-332-9355 for breakfast for a bunch with WCRS.
Come on out and honor our local veterans with an unforgettable evening dedicated to our brave veterans of Greenwood. Friday, June 5th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Veterans Center. Let's stand united and celebrate those who stood the watch for us. Dinner, music, and a silent auction. Every dollar will go directly to the Greenwood County Veterans Program. Tickets, $25 at the door, or stop by the Veterans Center to purchase tickets. Cash or check only. Greenwood County Veterans Center, 106 Main Street, Friday, June 5th. Questions, call 864-450-9268. That's 864-450-9268.
Never give up, never surrender. Never give up, never surrender. Never give up, never surrender. You heard it, WCRS. We will never give up, never surrender. Keep listening right here on
Oh, that's right. That's my mantra over here. We will never give up. We will never surrender. And we are back here this morning. We have been talking about the county council meeting last night that was very long, about 5 hours of a meeting. So this was about, I think the folks that were there thought that they were coming to discuss the moratorium and the importance of the moratorium. I must say, I don't know how many speakers there were that finally got to speak after the county's presentation, but they all had different aspects of this, whether it was the noise, whether it was the health. A lot of them have a lot of different backgrounds to speak effectively on this, meaning they were people that had knowledge. I was impressed by the amount of people who had spent a lot of time researching, checking this out. So I think that this was a great discussion. It was as I said, this was second reading. And basically, county council did not have in front of them anything about a moratorium. There was to just get, quote, something in place, because to have nothing in place meant that we would be exposed. So you are listening and watching WCRS radio this morning. We're going to play the final clip here that is going to talk about council's discussion before they voted. Now, you must know if you need to go or you can't listen to it, of course, you can come back and listen to this broadcast right here on Facebook Live. You can also listen to it on our website by tomorrow, by Friday. Today's Wednesday, Thursday. By Friday, it will be up on the website, maybe tomorrow. But you can always go back and also listen to the whole thing, 5+ hours. On YouTube, SC Greenwood County Council meeting. So I tried to bring it down into some manageable bites, because I'm telling you what, I listened, I watched it just for you. All right, let's hear the last clip that I'm going to play here. As I said, this is the council discussion before the vote. Take it away.
Item E, ordinance 2026-19 regarding zoning text amendment as it relates to data centers as presented. Council, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, excuse me. I think Mr. Pacelli hit the nail on the head with his first comment, which is currently we have absolutely zero protections as it relates to data centers in Greenwood County. I heard very loudly the folks who were here tonight that the ordinance doesn't go far, may not go far enough, and I think we may need to look at changing some of that. Some of those things in there to tighten that up. But currently, we have zero protections for any of our citizens and our quality of life in this county. I make a motion to approve second reading and ask that we further investigate the language before third reading. That's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Templeton and a second. Any comments or questions before we vote? Understanding that Mr. Templeton's motion is that we continue to evaluate what may be needed in additions to this amendment. Is that correct, Mr. Templeton?
That's correct, sir.
Any comments or questions? Yes, Ms. Miller.
Thank you. I made notes throughout the proceedings this evening, and I just want to share my thoughts with you all. First of all, I want to thank Duke Energy and CPW and Metro and our Deputy County Manager, Ms. Thorne, for answering many of the questions that I had coming into tonight's council meeting. So I appreciate that. I got a lot of those answered. I'm not opposed to data centers. I think I've heard many of you say that as well. You're not opposed, as long as they don't negatively impact our environment and the quality of life for our citizens. I think we just need to come to terms with what that means for us. There is no doubt that South Carolina and Greenwood will be attractive sites for data centers, I think mainly because of the low cost of the land, and that they would be a huge economic boost to our county. But we need to proactively and responsibly manage them, and I've heard that as well many times this evening. I do agree that we need guidelines on how data centers would operate in RDD, which currently doesn't have any kind of restriction on it. And I think that's a very concerning issue for all of us. We need to consider that. And my final thought is that I am, along with Mr. Templeton, I'm not completely on board at this time with some of the existing language in the text amendment. And I feel that we do need to probably look at some changes or amendments to the text amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, let me say that, again, I appreciate the folks coming out tonight, expressing their opinion. And I will also say that I did not know who all was coming before us and did not know the presentations that would be given to us before we came here tonight. But I will admit it looked a lot like a sales pitch, just to be frank and honest. If it wasn't meant to be, it sure looked like one. I am real concerned about some of the stipulations in here. I don't think enough research. I think we're being pushed. I feel pushed to make a decision on this. I think we can move fast in looking at this closer. Again, there's a lot of good points brought up. I've done a lot of research on a lot of the things that were shared with us tonight. I am totally uncomfortable with this. I think we need to scrap it and start over on what we're going to do as far as stipulations for data centers. I also question, and I'm not an attorney, and we have one here, she's very good at what she does, but I also question the fact whether under our present zoning, somebody can just come into our county and do whatever they want to do, and there's nothing we can do about it. I question that. I don't know, and maybe, again, I'm not an attorney, but I am real concerned about this. I have done extensive research. I have found it very difficult to find any community that will
My name is
tell you
Dr. James Brooks.
that a data center was a plus in their community. If I knew everything that I heard tonight to be a fact, I would support it 100%, and everybody in this room would, if we knew what we heard was going to take place. But many years ago, I was also told, or this council was told, that a food processor was coming to town, and there wasn't going to be any smell. They were going to put scrubbers on it, and you wasn't going to smell anything. That was 20 years ago, and I still smell it. And my point is, to this council, is there's no backing up. Once we do this, it's done. There's no backing up. It's just like the food processor. We've had meeting after meeting. I was chairman of this council. We met with that industry. I think they took some positive moves, but still, the issue is still there, and I hear it from the folks in that area constantly. There's no getting this right once you get it wrong. I will not vote in favor of this tonight. I am in opposition, and if we're that concerned about it, about jumping on here and getting it, well, then let's get to work and let's do the research we need to do, and let's get it right and get it on paper. That's all I have to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments before we vote?
We do have a motion and a second on the floor.
We do have a motion and second on the floor. That motion was to approve the text amendment with the understanding that there may be things we need to tighten up. I do agree with Mr. Templeton that my concern has been, because Mr. Allison, I will tell you that on the advice of that good attorney down there that you just referenced, she tells me that the RDD would allow, am I speaking correctly, Madam Attorney? The RDD would allow someone to come in, buy land, and build a data center without coming through our authority. So, having said that, my position on this is simply we do need the text amendment. That doesn't mean that it can only be what it is today and can't be improved and amended. But, so.
That was the whole reason. I mean, I think there's got to be some more work done on this.
I don't disagree.
But I think it would be, we've got to take a vote on the text.
We do. Are we ready to vote?
Let's call the question, Mr. Chairman.
Can you clarify again what we're voting on?
We're voting only for approval of the text amendment.
Second reading.
Second reading. Voting for, yes, thank you, second reading. Voting on the text amendment. The motion that Mr. Templeton made that we vote to approve the text amendment as presented with the understanding that we will be looking at
To tighten up the language before third reading.
before third reading and to take in consideration the concerns that we heard tonight from the public.
Correct.
All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? That passes 5-2.
Well, Penny is totally bored by this. If you happen to be watching on Facebook Live, you happen to see Penny sleeping. Yes, she's not feeling very good this morning. I think she'll be okay, but she's not feeling very good. All right, back to our subject at hand. That was the vote that was taken. That was the back and forth with council. You heard, Robbie Templeton introduced the motion that said that they motioned to approve, but there needed to be some work done on it. And Kathy Miller stated some of her concerns about it. And then Mark Allison, Councilman Mark Allison, told us how he felt about it and brought up the dog food place that was a problem with the smell. So all in all, I think it was thoughtful there at the end. So I'm not here to tell you what to think. My goal this morning was to help you understand what happened at council last night. The process is not over. There is still another reading ahead. In the end, when the vote was taken, it was 5-4-2 against. I'm sure you can guess who one of them was. Mark Allison voted against it, as did Dane Pruitt. So the question to you today is, did council strike the right balance? Should stronger protections be considered? What would you like to see before the third reading? I do highly recommend that you call and or speak with at some point your representatives, your county council people about this issue. They have agreed that they need to tighten up some of the language, but are they for a moratorium? I'm not sure. And we will can wait and see what language comes forth in the third reading, which will be in, 2 weeks. But the bottom line is the time to be active on this is now. One of the things that was brought up, the people that went to the Planning Commission meeting and did not, and there was no consideration for what the Planning Commission brought forth, which I thought was kind of odd because I can remember being at county council meetings where they always ask, and what was the Planning Commission? What did the Planning Commission feel about this? Were they for or against it? And that actually influences, I think, the decision that county council makes. But in this case, it was like it was not even an issue. And I would have thought that there would have been more bringing up about the fact that this meeting had taken place. So, did council strike the right balance? I hope they will get it right. Should stronger protections be considered? Well, I think that's a question you have to answer. And what would you like to see before the third reading, which, as I said, will be coming up in 2 weeks? I think the best thing that you as citizens can do is to keep the pressure on our county council. You should reach out to your county council representative and let them know your feelings about this, and hopefully before they come back to the third reading that the language may have changed on this ordinance. That's really going to conclude what I had to say this morning. My objective was to try to boil it down in something less than an hour. I've done it. I've done my job. We've had some comments on Facebook. I did post the link to the YouTube if you want to find that YouTube video on YouTube about County Council's meeting last night. One of our listeners here said the problem with a data center negatively affecting our environment is that we will not know until after it happens. And the question is it worth the risk? And Steph quotes, as she quite often does, my grandmother says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. Isn't that the truth? So that's from Steph. We posted the link. And one of the other questions that Stephanie raised here this morning, people in Lawrence and Abbeville should be able to weigh in too. We all border on Lake Greenwood, and it could affect all of us. And in my last thing that I wanted to mention here this morning, Sean Duffy, I don't know if you caught his comment, but that living out at the lake, you can hear a flea fart across the lake. I thought that was very descriptive. I don't know about you, but I've never thought about a flea farting, and I just wanted to bring that comment up because I thought that was very descriptive. I also want to say a big thank you to all the people that came forth and sat through that meeting to be able to speak for 3 minutes. Kudos to all of you who did stand up to speak, particularly after wading through all of the pro discussion to finally get your moment, all the regular people that got to stand up and make their comments. So that'll conclude what we're talking about as far as that goes here this morning. The bottom line is it did pass through second reading. There is one more reading, and I hope when council comes back that they have adjusted what they are going to do. Are they going to go with a moratorium? The only way to make that happen is to reach out and be proactive, folks. That's what I would tell you. All right, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS. If that wasn't enough news for you, let me tell you. We are going to have, let me tell you first about what's happening here on WCRS. This afternoon, we are going to be on Festival of Flowers discussions. We're going to be talking with Ellen Reeder and Jody Wilson, topiaries, tastings, and tunes, and the Makers Market. Hopefully they'll have some more details about some of the people that are coming with the Makers Markets and all the logistics and whatnot about the tastings and the tunes and, of course, all the topiaries. So we'll be discussing that from 5 to 6 today. That's Wednesday. On Thursday morning, we have 2 of the candidates for governor that will be on the show. Alan Wilson, Attorney General Alan Wilson will be joining us, and Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, who was, as I'm sure you know, recently endorsed by President Trump. So we'll be talking with both of them tomorrow. First interview on that will be right now. Will be about 10:15 with Alan Wilson, followed by Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Just FYI, I'm reaching out to at least one more candidate to see if we can't corral them all on one stage. Well, sort of, on the radio here as you get ready to make those final decisions on who you are going to vote for governor. Friday will be the last day of early voting. Your only other option after that would be to vote on Tuesday, June 9th. So this may be an important conversation for you to tune into. And if you've got a question, go ahead and text it to me or call and leave a message, 864-332-9355. 864-332-9355. We are trying to get Congressman Ralph Norman, to join our two candidates, Pamela Evette and Alan Wilson. We are trying to see if we can get Ralph Norman on with us too. So that's a little bit about what's coming up on Thursday. Thursday evening, we've got an early show of Meet Me at the Diner with Who are we going to be talking to? I don't know. June 4th, All Things Festival with our festival chairs, Lindsay Turner and Glenda Corley will be joining us to talk about All Things Festival. So that's what we got planned. And we are very excited to have all this for you. That'll be from 4 to 5 because tomorrow evening, gates open, I think, at 5:30, Uptown Market for Swingin' Medallions and Rhonda McDaniel. And if you want something fun and entertaining and lightweight to listen to, go back and check out that interview. That's already on WCRS 1450am.net. I do want to do a big shout out today for the Battle of the Birds. That's right. Yesterday afternoon, we had our two guests from MedTrans were here, Matthew Teal and Joshua, what was his name? What's Joshua's last name? Anyways, we had the two guys here and we had a great conversation talking about all things that have to do with medical transport in a helicopter. So, Greenwood is positioned to win the title this year. Last year, they lost by 3 pints of blood. 3 pints of blood separated, was it 3 or 1? I think it was 3 pints of blood separated them from winning. This year, they are in it to win it. They wanted me to make sure that I told you this morning that they are ready. They've got 3 blood connection buses that are going to be there to be able to do this. They will be parked out front. They also wanted me to tell you, to remind you, that the most important thing about the blood donation is rolling dough is going to be there, and some coffee food truck is going to be there too. So I hope that you will go out. Now, they have sold all their, quote, slots, but if you just go over there and show up, they said they'd be sure to work you in and not make you wait very long to be able to get in there. So this was a really a fun interview, but a lot of information. They certainly told us all about how it works. Didn't realize that they had their digs right there at Self Regional. They couldn't have been nicer or said more about the relationship with Self Regional Healthcare. So I just want you to, if you get a chance, go back and see it. But also understand that there is so much good that comes out of having this blood drive and having everybody compete. This is statewide. So it was a great conversation. Go back if you're looking for something to listen to that gives you some insight into what it's like to be a MatTrans paramedic, nurse on the bird, traveling everywhere, some of the heartbreaking things that happen. Go ahead and listen to that. Our guests yesterday, as I said, Jordan Mueller and Matthew Teal, and it was a great show, and a cameo by Matt's son was also filmed on this one too. All right, that's a few of the things. Don't forget to sign up for Breakfast for a Bunch. Very simple to do. Just go to 864-332-9355. Chick-fil-A would love to serve you a special breakfast. That's right, because they like to delight and surprise you. And you know, when you open up that package of Chick-fil-A for breakfast, you'll say, some of this was worthwhile. All you got to do, somebody's got to nominate, and it can be your own business. You can be a worker in a business, or you can just look from afar and say, this business needs some love. So whether it's a business, a group, a nonprofit, anybody that you see that's a group out there that you'd like to share some love with, give us a call, 864-332-9355, because The only way you can win is if you put your name in. So get those names in. We'll be giving away another one next week on this breakfast. Frank's Car Wash was delighted to have breakfast from Chick-fil-A. The Greenwood Rehabilitation Hospital will be having breakfast from Chick-fil-A. So let us know. 864-332-9355. Let's just check real quick on some of the events that are going on out there. There is, it's a big weekend for Festival of Flowers, so you know you want to be in the know. And that's what I try to do, is make sure that you are in the know. So lots to choose from on the Festival of Flowers. We've got the Beach Blast coming up Thursday evening. Swinging Medallions, always a crowd pleaser. Rhonda McDaniel, always doing fun stuff. And so they will be there. That starts 5:30. You do have to get your tickets. Go to greenwoodperformingarts.org to get your tickets. The Blooms and Beats concerts on Friday and Saturday will be going on. They will have the main stage down there at the splash pad, and they will be playing music. Lots of food trucks, all different types of food trucks will be there. The juried art shows for both youth and adults will be going on. In fact, the opening Thursday evening is at the Art Center. There's also the opening at the museum for the new Revolution exhibit, Road to the Revolution. It is a fantastic exhibit. You're going to want to make sure you get by and see that. I believe both of those start at 5 o'clock on Thursday. My idea, and this is what I plan to do, is get by. I'm going to get by the museum. I'm not sure I'm going to get by the art center, but I am going to get by the museum. Check that out, and then get on down there to the Beach Blast down there at the marketplace. Weather's going to cooperate. This is a great weekend to be here in Greenwood. So then they've got what they're calling the Maker's Mark. This is a craft show that they are going to have down at the arts at the farmers market. There you go, uptown Greenwood. That'll be going on. Also, they're going to have tours of the Railroad Historical Center in Greenwood on Saturday. They've got the Garden Symposium on Friday. They've got United States Tennis Association Junior Tennis. They have the garden tours on Saturday, one day only. Of course, the topiaries are all over uptown. So here's what I have to say. You just got to make a plan. If you're looking to invite friends and family that you say, oh, I want to have them here, but I don't want them hanging out at the house, this is the perfect event, because you got events going on all day, Friday, Saturday. Check them out. Go to scfestivalofflowers.org for more information. That, my friends, is going to do it for me. I want you to remember. This is what Penny has to say. A penny for your thoughts. 864-332-9355. Call or text right there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this morning. I hope that you've got some good information, and we have posted links on the Facebook Live on how to view the whole 5+ hours of Greenwood County Council meeting last night. So without further ado, as I like to say, we are going to drop the curtain. We are going to cue the music, and we will be out of here in just 1 second, because that's what I do on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, we're going to have politicians on. You'll want to hear that one too. Bye-bye, everybody.